Consideration to approve the proposal for the floodplain mapping project that was presented to this board at a cost of $74,400. The board indicated that they could come up with approximately half the funds, but then requested that we get input from both the City of Leesburg and the City of Smithfield. We did present to the City of Leesburg, and they were not interested in participating at this time. That was, it was in the newspaper.
Yeah. Well, Bob, the problem is money.
Yes, sir.
We were looking to take the last $10,000 out of contingency, and that's every dime we have left in contingency. And Bill and myself went through the budget to see if we could find any loose ends that we could put back in the general fund, and we found $27,559. Kind of a duplication, am I right, Bill, on a capital equipment account. So that's how we came up with $37,559. I want to remind everybody that 60 of these homes are in Leesburg, 20 are in unincorporated areas of Lee County, and 8 in Smithfield, if I'm not mistaken. 60.
There was 5 or 6 in Smithfield.
There was 88 homes involved,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 60 in Leesburg, 20 in the county, and 8 in the city of Smithfield. But I mean, that's every dime we have is $37,559. I mean, it's up to the will of the board. I mean, but the wishes of the board. But I think we ought to have some participation from Leesburg and Smithfield, if possible.
I attended the meeting in Smithfield that this was presented at. And what I heard them say was that they were going to contact Stevenson and Palmer, because I was under the impression there's 5 houses on Livingston Road, and they were just going to contact their Stevenson and Palmer, because they do a lot of work with them, to see about just doing individual elevation certificates and the possibility of at least getting them discounted rates. So that was, I mean, they're pursuing it, but they're going to see what other options they might be able to take as well, since there's only 5 there.
Let me ask you this. What happens if this survey is not, I mean, this flood insurance map's updated? What's going to happen? These people are going to have to hang flood insurance?
Yes, if the mortgage companies require that they have flood insurance, not every mortgage company, from what I understand, is even aware that these flood maps have changed. Certainly when you go to be refinanced or you sell your house, then usually these type of things come up and they will have to have flood insurance. But flood insurance would still be, I believe, less than if the house was originally built in a flood zone. When the house was built, most of these houses were built in a zone X, which was not a flood zone at the time, so they would be getting a discounted rate. I believe that's correct.
That's correct. Basically, if I could, what happens is some mortgage companies do audits periodically, and if they do an audit and they discover that, lo and behold, this house is now in a flood zone where it wasn't, and this is taking place all over the country. I mean, all over the state, all over the country, that these maps are changing. And so if they do this audit, then they'll write a letter to their mortgage holder and say, hey, you got 45 days to get flood insurance. For instance, a $100,000 house with a $40,000 contents that was in an 2008, if you just got standard insurance, it would be about $3,900 per year. But because it was originally in an X, you can do what's called a grandfather clause, and it's about $900. But I just had a client today that got a letter in January, hired an engineering firm to do a letter of map revision and got their results today. And so now they've been taken out of the A back into the X. And basically, they did it. They had the financial means to do it themselves. It cost them about $1,000. Now, the reality of it, if they were willing to do the legwork and the paperwork, they didn't have to pay $1,000. They would have had to pay for an engineer somewhere between $300 and $500. So, and now, based on what their mortgage company can, even though they've been taken out of the A zone, their mortgage company can still require insurance. But now they can buy what's called a preferred policy with the same $100,000, $40,000 for about $325. So it would benefit our citizens if we help them with this. But you know, I think there's more properties, because there's a property on River Bridge that I looked at about a week ago that, based on the information I have from 01, was not in a flood zone. A was in an X. And now it's in an A, and it looks like not only are they in an A, but there are 2 adjacent neighbors, and maybe 3 more houses in Red Ball. So,
the problem, excuse me, I'm sorry. Commissioner Roland, go ahead.
I'd like to say one thing. Normally, I would argue the point that the citizens of Leesburg, not only do they pay county taxes, they pay city taxes, and they should get the same services that we would provide to the people in the county. But in this case, so happens the first meeting that me and Mr. Duffy ever attended, we give the City of Leesburg $5 million of splash money to put in a wastewater treatment plant, which they drew interest on for almost 2 years, while it cost the county interest to pay interest on it. And I kind of roughly figured if they drew 3%, I don't know what that kind of money, that they drew almost $300,000 interest in it. And at this point, if they're not willing to match us, then I'm not willing to match them. That's just how I feel about it. If we hadn't done that for them, maybe I might see things a little different.
Commissioner Johnson.
I kind of, excuse me, agree with Dennis. Since the majority of the homes are in Leesburg city limits, I don't quite understand why they're not willing to assist us in the cost of this. It just really disappoints me. And besides that, it's going to put a financial burden on the majority of the people that live in that part of the city.
Bob, to sum it all up, if we had the funds, I wouldn't mind spending the $74,400. We don't have it. We had to search a day and a half to find the $27,559. There's just no money, and I think this floodplain mapping should be done, because I think everybody has to have an equal chance to save that money. And I don't know whether to vote on it tonight or table it for further discussion with the City of Leesburg or Smithfield to see if we can come up with the money. Commissioner Roland.
I'd like to make a motion to table it and give the City of Leesburg the opportunity to reconsider it and support.
I'll second that motion.
Have a second? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Chairman, under the Public Works Department, the item is listed before you is consideration to approve the purchase of 2 agricultural pumps and piping. This is found on page 35.
I'll defer. I want to know, what's the wishes of the board on the pumps?
I'd like to make a motion to go with the lowest bid with Flynn Equipment. And Mr. Sistrunk and myself talked about the pipe, and we were both in agreement that good used pipe would serve the same purpose as the new pipe, and it would be a savings of about $9,000. And the man that has the pipe is guaranteed to all of them to be in good shape. And I'd like to make a motion to buy that pipe. And I'd also like to make in the motion that we add an additional $1,000 to buy a trailer, because Mike says he doesn't have anything to haul his pipe on when he gets it here.
That's fine.
And we give us a chance to shop around and find a trailer. I'm sure we can find one for at least.
So that's your motion.
Yeah.
Buy the pumps, buy the used pipe, buy a trailer.
Yeah.
$1,000 for a trailer. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Unanimous.